Joe Biden intends to use the destruction of Maui, the Maui wildfires, to declare a climate emergency. That is the word coming down, the word that's being reported when it had nothing to do with climate change, global warming, or the sort. It had everything to do with Democrat incompetence. You had overgrown grasses. You allegedly had a wildfire that was initiated by a snapped power line, and then the power line or the power was never turned off. The authorities fought the fires for hours, but they never evacuated the citizens. Water hydrants weren't even working. The alarms in the town did not sound. And the left wants you to believe that their incompetence is climate change. That's what's to blame. But that isn't the case. We are going to debunk this nonsense. I'm telling you right now that Maui is Biden's Katrina, and that's the way that it should be treated. All of that and more in this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Stay tuned for some quick program messaging, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show podcast, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. And we are going to get to some of the lies and some of the confusion. We're going to sort it all out. But first, I want to talk to you about my sponsor, My Pillow. Mike Lindell has built a fabulous company in My Pillow. American jobs, American manufacturing. My Pillow right now is offering a great deal. They've just had their 20-year anniversary. So they're offering a queen size My Pillow for the low price of $19.98. The original price is $69.98. All you have to do to take advantage of that deal is go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square that's at the top of the page, and enter my name, Carl, C-A-R-L, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. That is 800-858-0263. All of the products come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Why do I say all of the products? Because right now you will get deep discounts on everything that your eye can gaze on mypillow.com. All right. So mattress toppers, my slippers, bed sheets, pet beds, or dog beds, whatever you like. It is all on available for you on deep discounts on My Pillow. All you have to do is use my name as the promo code to take advantage of those deals. MyPillow.com. Click on that podcast square, promo code Carl, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. Okay, so the Maui wildfire situation is a total collapse of government. It is a total mismanagement by the officials, both local officials and federal officials, in my opinion. And so we're going to talk about that because what the left is claiming is that the wildfires are due to climate change. As a matter of fact, the jerk behind governor of Hawaii, what did he say? Let me see if I can find this quote. I believe his name is Josh Green. Yeah, Governor Josh Green of Hawaii has said repeatedly since the fire that climate change is, quote, the ultimate reason that so many people perish, close quote. They should fire this jack arse the next time around as soon as they get the opportunity to. Talk about the just. I can't even put it into words. I mean, do you understand what a jerk you have to be to lie like this, given what I mentioned at the top of the podcast? I'm going to mention that again, and then we're going to do, or actually, Gabe will probably be doing a B-roll of the overview of the island, so you could see the west side of the island, Lahaina, where it's literally, you go from color, nice, beautiful oceanfront properties, to all of a sudden it just gets dark and gray. It's absolutely amazing at how much burned and how ill prepared the citizens were, unfortunately, because their government stinks. And we need to be honest about that. And climate change has become a catch-all phrase for the left, for the Democrat Party when it comes to these wildfires. It's a catch-all phrase for incompetence. That's what it means. Climate change means incompetence or power or control, because that's what the left wants to do. Biden is working with the UN. He's waiting for his opportunity to declare a climate emergency. These Maui wildfires would be what he's looking for. I'll go into more detail in regards to that. So this might be the final straw where he goes ahead and declares a climate emergency, essentially giving himself the powers that he had during COVID. And this all would have to go through the courts and be fought through the courts. I don't think Americans are going to stand for that, but I want you to know this is where the left is headed. This is exactly what they want to do. Again, these wildfires have nothing to do with climate change. They have nothing to do with man-made global warming. It's total Democrat government incompetence. Let me just give you, again, I didn't mention all of the points in the short that we did at the beginning of the podcast. So let me just mention some of the things that occurred there that were not taken care of. Just like in California, you did not have proper land management / landscaping, taking care of overgrown brush. What they had near Lahaina, where the fire began, where reportedly there was a snapped power line that set off the initial sparks, and I'll get to that. I'll get to that in just a second. But what they had was this kind of foreign grass, if you will, overgrown grass that isn't indigenous to the area. They used to have sugar cane plantations and pineapple plantations or farming in that particular area. They no longer do that. And as a result of that, all this high grass has grown up in those areas. The grass is extremely dry. It gets extremely dry. It becomes extremely flammable. Yesterday, I also had a caller when I was sitting in for the Officer Tatum called in, who is a firefighter, lives in California, and he said they were experiencing some of the same regulations in Hawaii that he experienced as a California firefighter in California. And he said the Sierra Club, which is a left-wing radical environmentalist type group, has gotten involved where there are some type of tugboats near Lahaina. They could sit right in the bay, port, whatever you call it, and they could have helped to control the fire so that it didn't spread. They were not allowed to be positioned in the proper places because of some of these left-wing radical groups. I had not heard about that before that. This guy sounds extremely credible. I've researched the Sierra Club in the past, so I do not doubt this for a second. Also, so you've got the overgrown grass, which they did not manage. The local community, and I'm talking about government officials, because I don't think it was private property anymore. They did not manage that overgrown grass, completely dry. All right. And now, allegedly, the wildfire was initially ignited by a snapped power line. Here's where it gets completely insane. All right. And typically, here's what you need to know, whether it's Canada, whether it's California. A lot of these fires start by sheer, incompetence, like land management, not doing land management like they should. A lot of them start with just sheer malice. And today, guys, I've decided I'm not going to do the Jackson 5. I think this issue is important enough to just focus on Maui because, again, I believe that Joe Biden is going to try to use this to declare a climate emergency. And again, I'll get into that shortly. But a lot of these wildfires is sheer incompetence by local government officials, or it's just sheer malice where someone literally decides to strike a fire, start a fire themselves. And what you have in Lahaina is just sheer incompetence. And these people need to know this. We're going to play this video for you shortly of this young lady. We're going to have to break it up because it's about 4 minutes. But she gives very detailed and graphic descriptions of some of what she's been seeing on the ground. And she contends that based upon what she's been able to tell and what she's been able to see with her own eyes, there are at least 600 dead, if not thousands, because their bodies in the ocean. We'll get to that in just a second. But let me give you some more incompetence that was brewing on the island of Maui in Lahaina. The authorities had fought the fires for hours, but they never evacuated the citizens. So where this snapped power line was, this fire had grown high, dry grass. A power line snaps, starts a fire. They think they have it contained because they fought it for 9 hours. They leave. They leave. All right. After they believe that they have it contained, they never bothered to evacuate citizens. And if you see some of the pictures, that area where it is believed the fire started, I mean, it's their properties not too far off. I mean, it's completely insane. And right now, you have official reports of, I think it's about 110 or right over 110 dead. They haven't combed through 25% of the destruction area as of yet. And again, we're getting ready to play a video where a young lady that's been helping out is saying their numbers are extremely low. Oh, and by the way, the boots on the ground from government, local government, and federal government, nowhere to be heard of. Nowhere to be heard of. You just have people from the White House blowing smoke up your butt because Joe Biden got caught because he said, hey, no comment while Maui was burning. He couldn't be bothered because he was on the beach at Delaware chilling, having a vacation, while fellow Americans were losing their lives and livelihoods. It's absolutely insane. Also on the ground, there was word that there could have been much better traffic management. There were no officials to guide traffic so that people wouldn't be caught in back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper traffic. Unfortunately, as a result of that, many people died in their cars, in their vehicles. That's another story that isn't being told. I heard Travis, I forget his name. Is it? No. Oh, man, I forget his name. Anyway, he's on Fox. He was on Clay and Buck's show yesterday. And man, I don't know why I forget his name. But anyway, he has property there. And he was talking about this very situation. How bodies were burned and the fire had gotten so hot to a point where it could burn and bend metal. So imagine what it could do to human flesh. And the fire was traveling so quickly, there was no way for so many of these people to be able to escape. And again, they never received any type of warning, notification, or evacuation orders from their local or state government. None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. And that is after they battled the fire. Firefighters had already battled the initial fire for 9 hours. You would think they would say evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. But there's even more. They never turned off the electrical power lines. So they had what made the fire spread so rapidly. If you haven't heard the news, apparently that day they were experiencing very high winds upwards of 50 plus miles per hour. And then you have all of that dry grass. You have a snapped power line. They thought they had it contained. They never turned the power off. And so it flares back up. And with those high winds could just literally shoot flames and make them spread so fast you can't outrun them. And that's exactly what ended up happening. So there was so much incompetence. It was insane. Residents in neighborhood after neighborhoods that were interviewed, according to the reports I read, were never told that there was a fire, that they should evacuate. You had some people that were staying in hotels in Lahaina that were visitors, that were tourists, that were leaving hotels because they had learned of it somehow. But you had people checking in that hadn't known about it. The communications were horrible. Fire hydrants that had not been kept up were running dry, where they couldn't put out the flames. Sirens never sounded. The siren alarms, whenever there's dangerous weather, whatever it may be, a warning for the island, never sounded. So a lot of these people didn't have a clue. People were chilling on the beach in Maui or the Lahaina area, West Maui area, that had no clue as the fire was approaching. Now, here's what I want to do. So I've just read you a litany of things that the local government should have known, should have done. The state government should have been aware of. Now they're just trying to cover their butts. And what's the easiest thing to do? Because they don't want the Democrat Party or Biden to look bad. What's the easy thing to do? Climate change. Know that climate change is code for BS. That's another one. Code for incompetence, Democrat incompetence, code for BS, code for we're going to make money off of something that isn't going to do anything to change the climate, to change the weather. The forecast, the models that they use are just a complete and utter joke. These people cannot predict weather a week away and get it right. How the heck are they going to predict weather 100 years into the future? Just stop and think about that. Just use your common sense and think about that. Now, I want to play this video Gabe has set up here of this young lady in Lahaina. She is a local, and she's been helping out, coordinating, getting supplies to some of the people that have needed them. Here's what she has to say. Nothing like you're hearing on television, by the way. Some of her details are graphic, so brace yourself. You might get a little teary-eyed if you want to go grab some Kleenex real quick. Again, we're going to have to pause in between because the video is about 4 minutes, but you will be gripped to every single portion of it. So let's go ahead and roll this video, por favor, Gabe.
If you don't know what's going on in Maui, we are just being completely devastated right now. The last 4 days, I've been non-stop, just working around the clock, trying to get supplies for people, trying to get the supplies to the people, working at the shelters. It's just, I'm safe and my family is safe and my dogs are safe. Last night they said the death toll is 80. It's not correct. They're not reporting it correctly. I don't know why they're not reporting it correctly. There's hundreds, at least 600, if not thousands of people who are dead in the streets, floating in the ocean. There's over 3,000 homes that have been burned to the ground. There's no help here on the ground. All it is residents pulling together. My whole entire truck is full of supplies right now. Just residents going to the store, going to Walmart, going to Costco, buying as much as they can, driving it straight into Lahaina. I went there last night and there was a fire that started and we got so scared we weren't able to drop off all the supplies. But there was flames that we saw and we were like,
hold on for just a sec there, Gabe. Imagine that. You're helping people out. You've just seen what has occurred. You see a little fire spark up and you are absolutely freaking out. But notice what she says. There's no help there. Don't let Joe Biden, don't let cringe Jean-Pierre, the podium propagandist, lie to you. There's no help there. These people are receiving no help at all. They are using their money to help out their fellow American. That is what they're doing. Now, that is what we should do if any of us were in a position like that, but also they pay a buttload of taxes to live in Hawaii. The taxes are insane there. You would expect that you would get some help, especially in a situation like that. You would expect that your president would take the time to at least sympathize with the people of Maui, with the people of Lahaina, instead of saying no comment while his punk behind is sitting on the beach vacationing. They don't even get that. She's a local. She's there. She's distributing, whatever materials she can to help people out. No help is there. Do not let the media lie to you. This has nothing to do with climate change. I've ran down the litany of things that have occurred. This is total government incompetence. We're going to finish with this video, and then I want to play a video that they are not showing in mainstream media of Joe Biden basically declaring a climate emergency without having officially declared a climate emergency. He did this, I don't know, maybe it was a week or more ago. That video has not been distributed. You're going to see it here. I'm going to ask you to share it. And then I'm going to tell you how Joe Biden has been working with the UN in order to develop a plan that would ration your gas, your ability to use gas, your ability to be able to use electricity, and your ability to be able to eat meat or have access to meat. Guys, this is no joke. I don't know where the Republicans are on this front. It is driving me nuts. But this climate change stuff, if you're listening to this podcast, You got to be one of the vocal ones calling your congressman and saying it is time to push back on this fake narrative of man-made climate crisis and that people are going to die because of it. They are training a whole new generation to fear climate. Winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you got to do is call. They want people to fear the freaking summer and scare the crap out of them so that they can have more power over the people. That's all they're trying to do. All right, let's finish up with this video here, Gabe.
We just have to get out of here. It's so awful. The people who were able to evacuate Lahaina and get out, they're at the shelters, and the shelters are just a mess right now. They're so disorganized. We don't have anyone from any organizations helping. I think Red Cross is here, but it's just so unorganized. No one knows what we need. It's awful. And the people that are still in Lahaina that were not able to evacuate, they don't have gas in their cars. They can't leave. Some people are just holed up in their houses waiting for someone to come knock on their door and give them supplies. They don't even know supplies are like being distributed at the docks in Lahaina. And it's getting so bad in Lahaina. I never thought this was going to happen, but there's people going into like other people's homes trying to steal their stuff, like I heard that the people are being held at like gunpoint over there. I'm doing everything that I possibly can. I've literally been working nonstop the past 4 days, but it's like, where are the trained officials? We're not trained to do this. Like, this I haven't gotten a break, and I've just been like, I have to help. Like, I have no other option, but it's just so hard. There's still tourists that are here. Yesterday, right off the shores of Lahaina, where people are dead, they're floating in the ocean. There's a tour company that brought out people to snorkel. If you have a trip here, don't come. Cancel it. There's people complaining that their weddings were ruined. Our families are dead. If you have ever visited here, if you love any of the islands, please donate. Please, like, no news is showing how bad it really is. It's really, really bad. If you've had money to vacation here, you have $5 to send. Don't get Starbucks. Send $5. I'm taking donations on my Venmo. But
let me pause there real quick. Whenever there's donations, I'm always concerned because there's always going to be crooks involved, right? So make sure she is right. Make sure you donate to people that are trained, a place that you trust wholeheartedly. You know how they spend your money. I'm a Christian. I'm associated with Assemblies of God. There's a Convoy of Hope. You that may not be your thing. Samaritan's Purse is another one that I donate to in events like this. I know Glenn Beck has his organization that is legit. That is Mercury One, I believe it is. So make sure that if you do donate, go to reputable organizations where the money is being accounted for, where they are transparent, where you can trust that there's not going to be any thievery. There's going to be actual boots on the ground doing the work that needs to be done. I always caution people, don't just, don't donate per se to individuals. Don't get caught in that trap. Because this is exactly what happens. Sadly, people exist. There are people that exist that take advantage of situations like this in order to enrich themselves instead of helping the people. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up. And then I want to play another video for you of Joe Biden unofficially declaring a climate emergency. Don't think that these people won't do it. We've seen what they've done with lockdowns. We see the persecution of Donald Trump right now. Do not sit here and believe that these people in the White House and the Democrat Party as they exist right now, they are fascists. I believe all of their voters are communists, but they are fascists. These people want total authoritarian control, and they are aiming to do just that. Let's wrap this video up.
If you don't want to do that, you can donate to any of the verified fundraisers, but make sure it's verified. Please spread awareness of this. Like, no one is talking about this outside of the island. Write to your Congress, your representatives. The president yesterday just asked for $13 million to aid in Ukraine, and he hasn't helped us at all. If you don't have money to donate, please, please, please just spread as much awareness as you possibly can. Try to set up donation centers wherever you live. Please, we need every single helping hand that we can possibly get, every single dollar that we can possibly get. I don't care if you think $1 is too small, like, send it. It will help.
All right, so that was a citizen of Lahaina. Now I want to take you to a video of Joe Biden, and again, just to reiterate, the left is going to try to claim that this is all to do with climate change. The governor Josh Green has already said so, that ultimately this is an issue with climate change. When I've just told you that the land management has been horrible, that a power line snapped, and even though they fought the fire for 9 hours, they never evacuated the people. Absolutely insane. They didn't shut the power off. Some of their fire hydrants weren't even ready to go. The alarms weren't ready to be sounded. Citizens were not evacuated. Traffic was bumper to bumper with no one directing traffic. So when the fire came so quickly, people literally fried or baked in their freaking cars. People had to escape the fire. People had to run and jump into the ocean. Many people did. And that's why she's saying that bodies are literally floating in the ocean. But beyond that, how many bodies have been lost to the ocean? How many bodies have been incinerated to a point where they're unrecognizable? But here's how Joe Biden would like to use the crisis. Now, just for the record, this was before the Maui wildfires, not too long before. But here's what he intends to do. I'll tell you the other things leading up to this. These people want complete and total control. I don't know where the Republican voices are to stop this. So we need to call our congressmen and women and say, stop. It's time for them to stop this narrative. This fake EV stuff. You're saving the planet. You're not doing jack squat. You're not saving the planet. For God's sake, CO2 emissions. You want CO2. You want photosynthesis. That we help each other out. Photosynthesis helps, our CO2 helps plants. Plants help us. They absorb a lot of the CO2. More of them grow. I mean, God has figured this thing out. This is a complete and utter hoax. Complete and utter hoax. But here's Joe Biden. He's ready to take advantage of you and gain more power. The COVID lockdowns weren't enough. He wants that authoritarian power yet again. Here he is, basically declaring unofficially a climate emergency.
Are you prepared to declare a national emergency with respect to climate change?
I've already done that. We've conserved more land. We've we've rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. We passed a $368 billion climate control facility. We're moving. It is the existential threat to humanity.
So you've already declared that national emergency?
Well, in the practice, you got the bug on it.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. So you've already declared that national emergency?
Practically speaking, yes.
Yeah. All right. Practically speaking, yes. Yes. He doesn't care what the voters have to say. He's going to do what he has to do. He's an authoritarian. You get it? Now, let me give you this. This is from Slay.com, titled Biden close to declaring climate emergency to ration gas, electricity, and meat. So according to the Heartland Institute, Joe Biden is close to signing an executive order to declare a quote-unquote climate emergency, which would grant sweeping new powers to enforce lockdowns and other tyrannical, grant powers to himself, basically, to enforce lockdowns and other tyrannical measures in order to, quote, save the planet, close quote, from global warming. Quote unquote, a public policy think tank is warning. Again, that was the Heartland Institute. The signs are there, according to Heartland, that Biden will declare a climate emergency that would see gas rationing, restrictions on electric use, and limits on air travel as well. The move would also place limits on meat and dairy consumption. So if Biden declares this climate emergency, obviously cow farts are going to be a big issue, right? Cows are going to be a big issue. They don't want you eating protein. They want you to get slim and thin. So if the government comes to, control your lives and take over, you're not going to be able to do anything about it because you're not going to have the meat. The meat is going to go to government officials. The meat is going to go to the elite. The meat is going to go to their military, kind of like they do in China. Kind of like they do in North Korea, that kind of thing. That's what's going to be happening here. But they want to do all of this including placing limits on your meat and dairy consumption in order to meet the net zero goals of the globalist green agenda that's being set by the UN and by the World Economic Forum. So, as a matter of fact, Biden has been working with the UN in order to get this, in order to prepare for the authoritarian restrictions that he plans to implement. According to Slavey, but what's happening behind the scenes is there's already some maneuvering going on. The UN, as a matter of fact, has just updated their website with a new climate emergency quote unquote plan. You heard me right. The UN has updated their website with a new climate emergency plan, and it says on their website the science is clear. That's what it says on the website regarding this. Here's what else it says on the UN website. All right, and I quote, "The world is in a state of climate emergency and we need to shift into emergency gear. Humanity's burning of fossil fuels," isn't that amazing, "has emitted enough greenhouse gases, yet they won't. When it comes to China, they're not trying to get China on board with this because China don't play that. They're not stupid like we are. All right, humanity's burning of fossil fuels has emitted enough greenhouse gases to significantly alter the composition of the atmosphere, and average world temperature has risen between 1.1 degrees and 1.2 degrees Celsius. That is a complete and utter lie. There are places, you guys heard about this underground volcano, undersea volcano that erupted, and it shot it was some astronomical number. I want to say 4 trillion gallons of vapor water or something into the atmosphere. So when that occurred, some areas of the world, because of the water vapor, got warmer because of the heat in places like Florida, with tropical weather over the water. Some places got a little warmer. Other places got a little cooler. But the Earth's surface, the average temperature for the Earth's surface never changed. It was still 50, I think it's 57 something degrees, never changed. These fools are just straight up liars. Just straight up liars. They just make up crap because they know people are, for the most part, emotional. It's insane where we are, but unfortunately, people buy into this. All right, so again, it also says, reiterating, humanity's burning of fossil fuels has emitted enough greenhouse gases to significantly alter the composition of the atmosphere, and average world temperatures has risen between 1.1 degrees Celsius and 1.2 degrees Celsius. By the way, when they say the planet has warmed more than it has in 125,000 years, I want you to keep in mind that their measurements, the tools that they're using, only date back to 1979. These punks are just a bunch of egomaniacs. And that realize they can scare people and they can make money and gain power off of this stuff. It also says, and for every degree, I'm quoting from the UN website, and for every degree in rising temperatures, the cost of adaptation will rise exponentially. GHG, which stands for greenhouse gas emissions, must peak now, yet the gap between ambition and action is growing. They said, we have the solutions we need, and many will reduce emissions, contribute to climate adaptation. You mean like the jab? Get rid of people? Create jobs? So these people are going to create jobs. The UN is going to help create jobs. What, worldwide? So we're not sovereign. They are. They're over the United States now. Restore the natural environment. These guys are so arrogant. And encourage good investments. By whom? And according to whom? Corporate media, as you guys have seen, they've ramped up their fear mongering too with this, the talks about recent heat waves. I guess they forget that it's summer. They forgot about that underwater volcanic eruption that occurred. They try to link hot weather to climate change. As a matter of fact, there was a scientist, I don't know if I have the article in front of me. She was interviewed by John Stossel. She was one of these well-acclaimed, climate scientist or what have you. And she believed all the hype. She bought into all the hype. She wrote papers according to the hype. And then when she was peer reviewed and some of her colleagues said, wait a minute, your data here, and here is wrong. and she looked at it, she was forced to admit basically, oh my God, you're right. My data is wrong. I've been looking at this the wrong way. And so when she began to correct herself, all of the accolades and the awards and the money with grants coming her way dried up. Once she started telling the truth, but that there is no real need for this climate alarmism, they turned on her. Her industry turned on her because that's how they get grants. That's how they make their living. And it's a bunch of sick puppies that are willing to play this game because they continue to make a great living off of it. You wouldn't think that people would be so simple and evil, but sadly they are. And they are gearing up. Biden is gearing up. Democrats are gearing up as well. Now, you saw the video, right? How Biden just basically declared a climate emergency. Here's what he'll use to justify it. One, what we've seen with Maui, although this is Biden's Katrina. Now, I got to say this in fairness to George W. Bush. Katrina was never Katrina. It wasn't his fault, all right? He called Mayor Ray Nagin. He called the governor. I think it was something Blanco at that time. He wanted to get involved so he could release the emergency funding or help or whatever they needed. The state has to ask for it first. They never did. They wanted Bush to stay out because the left was too busy trying to beat him up at the time of Hurricane Katrina. And so they said no, until it was too late. The levees broke, flooded, and then they started blaming George W. Bush. So he made a big mistake of not just saying, all right, I'm using executive power or whatever. We're going to make sure we go in and save these people. And to this day, people still think it's his fault that the levees broke, that all the, pain and suffering, he did it because more black people live there, all in the French Quarters area and all this kind of stuff. Just complete and utter nonsense, all right? But this is, if there were a real Katrina, this is Biden's. No comment. As people burn, as bodies float in the ocean, as bodies are incinerated in their cars. This is Biden's Katrina. So he'll use Maui, although that's going to be hard to use because Maui people are already saying we don't want them here. And also he'll use the new temperature numbers, which are issued on August 15th. So just a couple of days ago by the NOAA, which is the national, I forget what that stands for, honestly. I got to look that up. What that stands for if I have. Yeah, let me look that up. Anyway, I'll get back to that in just a second. I think it's like National Oceanic something or another. See if I can pull it up real quick. I just figure I may as well do this because I don't think you mind. Let me do this. I'm trying to spell it out for some reason. That's very dumb. All right. National. What is it? National Oceanic and Atlantic something. It doesn't say. It says NOAA. Anyway, National Oceanic Atlantic, maybe administration. I'm not sure. This is weird. Okay. Anyway. So he's waiting for climate numbers from them. He'll use the wildfires. What is the other thing that he'll use? The claim that Antarctica is melting and the supposed subsequent sea level rise. They'll use that somehow as well to declare a climate emergency. You have Representative Cory Bush telling him he needs to declare a climate emergency now. There's plenty that she says. She's been ranting on Twitter about it. You have Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat from Oregon, also telling Biden that things are going to get worse if we don't take action. It is time to declare a climate emergency. What's happening in the heartbreaking fires in Hawaii, he suggests, makes it the time to do so. See, they'll use this stuff. You have Representative Earl Blumenauer, another Democrat from Oregon, saying basically it's time. He sponsored a bill. 60 congressional Democrats actually backed legislation known as the Climate Emergency Act of 2021. So this is while the COVID lockdowns were going on, they were trying to declare a climate emergency in order to take more power too. What was happening at the time? Were we leading up to the 2022 midterms? What are we headed towards now? 2024 elections, energy groups. Fear the Biden White House is planning to declare a pandemic-like emergency that's going to grant Joe Biden sweeping new powers. And actually, it'll be whomever is running the White House, his administrative staff, along with Joe Biden and Barack Obama, will all figure out how to use that power. They're leaning to that direction, according to the U.S. and Oil Gas Association President Tim Stewart. He told that to Just the News. He says, if you grant the president's emergency powers to declare a climate emergency, it's just like COVID. Climate emergency declaration could give Biden and the Democrats, he says, vast and unchecked authority to shut down everything from communications to infrastructure. All right. They can literally do exactly what they did in COVID, he warns. If you disagree with the climate emergency speech, you can be shut down. We really need to be paying attention to that, because that power could be extended indefinitely until the climate emergency is over. And who knows how long that would last. It could last 30 days. It could last 30 years. The left would use it as long as they needed to retain power. Here's another story that I just want to talk to you about briefly before we close out. Maui locals are worried that here's what's going to happen. So all of it, obviously, it's very expensive to live in Maui, to live on any of those islands, the Hawaii Islands. And so there was one local there. He's a chef, I believe, but he pays $1,000 per month for a room. He shares a 4-bedroom house. He shares, which is burned down now. So he's got to find another place to live. I was reading about him. His name is Richie Palale. And so this is his home. He was born and raised in Lahaina. He says he isn't going anywhere, but what he's really concerned about is the fact that he believes there's going to be a lot of new rebuilds going on. He's not going to be able to stay there. But he's like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to stay. I'm not going to leave my home. But he fears that what's going to happen is the locals are going to get pushed out by wealthy Americans coming in from the mainland or buying up property, the Oprah Winfrey's of the world and stuff like that, and just kind of pushing them out. So that's what they're concerned about. The governor assures that won't be the case. There will be plenty of housing for people that are not wealthy. But this is the guy that has blamed climate change for the fires, when it was totally due to incompetence on his part and for the rest of his administration, as well as local officials. All right. So just more to pray about for these people in Maui. Just a devastating disaster. It is Joe Biden's Katrina. The world should know that it's Joe Biden's Katrina. If you happen to live in Lahaina or Hawaii, anybody, I want you to share this podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. Please subscribe to this podcast. All right. The Carl Jackson Show is where you find us. We're on Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. Check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Subscribe, rate, and review. Give us a 5 there. We would certainly appreciate that, so our message will get out to even more people. On all things social media, I'm on Instagram. Follow me there. I'm on Twitter. You can follow me there at Carl Jackson Show or at The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, True Social, Getter. All right, so find me in one of those locations and follow me. I would certainly appreciate that. You guys are a blessing. I hope you will spread this message. I know there's a lot of news stories going on today. I get it. But our fellow Americans in Maui are hurting. And we have a liar in the White House that is trying to claim that it's climate change when people in his party have literally been the most incompetent people ever. And just like in California, they are responsible for this wildfire. And now they're trying to cover it up. And the help isn't there, as the media pretends. The help simply isn't there. You heard the young lady. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. And until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.